For us, it doesn't matter because we don't treat hundreds of patients, but in Yashoda or in other hospitals, it would, to a dietitian or to a nutritionist, would be very useful because you're not spending time looking at the data. Now, what happens in a cancer patient is that the situation drops. It's called chemo-induced malnutrition. And it doesn't matter how rich or family that you come from. It's actually a function of the toxicity of the treatment. And so what you actually get is chemo-induced malnutrition, which is what we are doing. Because what we are actually saying is that look at the changes that have happened from this month to that month, and how has that change impacted your nutritional level. What do you mean when you say your nutritional level? How has that impacted your liver health? How has it impacted your renal health? Right? How is it impacted your immune response? What is happening to your hemoglobin levels? So we are talking about actual markers that define your body, but also your ability to take treatment. Because if any one of these drop below a certain threshold, your ability to take treatment goes away. And the one thing that we all know is that cancer doesn't wait for you to recover your nutritional status and say, "Acha, ab aap theek ho jao," then we'll start acting again. That's not how cancer works. So what, again, these are prompts that have been arrived at with a lot of hard work. And what it simply gives you is, what is the change? Now, this is a person who's got glioblastoma. He's being treated for glioblastoma. Between month X and month Y, he got COVID and his chemotherapy dose went up. And as doctors, you can see here that it severely impacted his malnutritional health. Right? Now, this is where the value of AI in the current context is, because it is human assisted. It is not human replaced. It is not doing anything of that kind. It is human. But it is definitely giving you something that happens all the time. And we meet so many cancer patients. They do not meet nutritionists. The only time you meet a nutritionist is before your treatment starts or when you're in hospital for an operation, right? So with this, what actually happens is that you start getting these kind of feedback. That what do you need for anemia progression, liver protection, protein requirements, anti-inflammatory support, caloric adjustments. And so therefore you can figure out how your nutrition needs to change in order to be able to meet all of this, right? And that's how AI starts becoming relevant. Now this is democratic. You don't really need anybody to go and reinvent this. And if you really want to take it and make it available in Yashoda or any of the hospitals, what you actually need is perhaps a front end, which is a wrapper around an existing AI model. That's all you need. You don't need more than that, right? So to your point of making things simple, things can be simple because you don't need to do the heavy lifting today at all. And I'll just close by contrasting 2015, when we created that thing for the largest private sector bank. On average, we paid AWS about 15 to 20,000 US dollars per month for using their cloud and the processing capacity, because it had elasticity. And by the time we finished the model, we had spent something like 400,000 US dollars. So, that's what I mean by saying that if you follow those traditional paths and you want to bring it into day-to-day usage, it's not possible. But if you let other people do the heavy lifting, who have the money and the resources like a Google Health or some of the other agencies that exist, and you let them do the heavy lifting, and you build applications on top of that, then that creates a whole new environment for patient care, right? So I think with that, I close. I just hope that I have been able to get 3 points across. The first is that nutrition is critical for treating oncology. And it is even more critical for ensuring continuity of treatment, because one of the biggest things which prevents continuity of treatment is malnutrition brought around by toxicity. Right? The second point I'd like to leave you guys with is that AI can be extremely complex, and that is valuable. AI can be extremely user-friendly, and that is valuable as well. You don't have to choose between, oh, it can only happen if I work at that level. If you work at this level, also you can create value, right? And the last thing I'm saying is that with AI, knowledge becomes democratic. There are ethical issues involved. And I'm sure there'll be other people who will address that, but knowledge becomes democratic. And when knowledge becomes democratic, it gives you, everybody in this room, an opportunity to start using it for your own specialization, not for you to become the equivalent of a Google Baba in ChatGPT. But it gives you the opportunity to start working smarter, to start working faster, and to start creating things which are relevant to the patient's survival and quality of life, right? So thank you.